Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. And I'm joined here, as always, by a man who you could rewatch our live feed of the game and pinpoint the exact moment his heart broke tonight. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing good, I guess. This was a rough finish to the day. Exciting day of baseball and football. That stung a little. I was just trying to enjoy the game a little bit, and happens. Sometimes you win those, sometimes you lose them, and close game.
Yep, it's very weird. I feel like, let's get into it. So, hello, everybody. This is our show. We're going to recap every game from this week, starting with the Sunday night game. We also, we did this show, we did the live show on the, we sort of called the game live. It was a lot of fun. So now Kyle and I have been talking to each other for over 3 hours at this point.
Yeah, so obviously, if you missed all that, you can go back and listen to some of that. We'll do a quick recap of it on here, obviously, for everybody who didn't. It was a fun game and not something we really expect. The weather obviously played a huge part. That Foxborough weather magic can sway in the Patriots' favor a little bit, and I think it did here because the Tampa Bay vertical passing game I thought struggled at points in this game, whether it was miscommunication, some missed balls from Brady. They got some things going in spurts, but I thought the vertical passing game of Tampa Bay was mostly affected by this rain.
Yeah, I mean, you could say it's the rain. That's interesting. I mean, I think that we definitely saw some clunkiness from the Tom Brady and the New England and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I guess my question was, do we think that sort of the aura of this game did actually affect Tampa Bay? And I know that sounds crazy, but I remember Tony Dungy talked about how when he made his return to Tampa Bay, he is longtime Tampa Bay head coach, then goes to the Indianapolis Colts, and he said in all of the press conferences and everything, it's just another game. But then he admitted that he really wanted to win, and he knew that the guys playing for him really wanted to win, and he felt that hurt them early on. They ended up having a historic comeback that I don't want to talk about too much, but could that have played a factor at all early on in this one?
Yeah, I think absolutely. The narrative, when these games have narrative base, these games aren't, low scoring and sloppy for a reason. Whenever there's like a major game, as they can be, it's because there's guys nervous on the field. And it seemed like at times there was guys nervous on the field. And part of that, I think, too, was Brady, who was a little thrown off early in the first half of this game on some of the throws. Now, some of it is miscommunication, but just because there's miscommunication between the receiver and quarterback doesn't mean because Tom Brady's the quarterback, it's all on the receiver. I thought late in the game, too, he had to play to Evans that there's miscommunication. And it looked like Evans was going deep because Jackson had him shaded under and Brady threw the comeback route, but Jackson was standing right there. So, I think it kind of disrupted both teams, but I definitely think it disrupted the Tampa Bay offense.
Yeah, it's really bizarre, right? Because we all kind of felt like, okay, Tampa Bay, they finally found their groove towards the Super Bowl. They were so, things just weren't running smoothly for most of last year up until the end of the season. Well, this year, things are going to be running smoothly all year. No, it turns out that's just who they are. They just have a lot of miscommunications and don't quite get these things completely under control.
Yeah, and with an offense that runs so many kind of option routes like that, choice routes almost, there's bound to be some miss-ups. There's bound to be some mistakes almost too. So I'm not really worried about Tampa, even though it wasn't a great performance. I guess as a Tampa Bay fan on your side, how are you feeling about this team, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, where Carlton Davis goes down, the secondary is even thinner, and I thought it struggled in this game?
Oh, I'm feeling horrible. I think that we're a disaster if we cannot get healthy and get healthy quickly. Especially with, what I talk about is you win games on the outside, right? The nice thing is that we do kind of have a bit of an easier schedule, part of our schedule coming up. We had, obviously, the Rams was tough, and, you guys played us well. Played in Miami next week, who we'll get to. We play, Philadelphia, Chicago. So not exactly great passing threats. Philadelphia is good, but at least with Miami and with Chicago. So they have some time to heal up, but it's not good. Their defensive line, as great as it is, it doesn't mean much if you can't cover. And they did what they could. They put Band-Aids on it, and eventually it was just enough to win. But Is this going to win you a Super Bowl? This receiving core? No, they need guys to get healthy quickly.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, they struggled in this game. They ended up making plays. It was Levante David coming up with the biggest play of the game, knocking
Mm-hmm.
down that pass on third down, forcing the fourth down decision. They went for the field goal. Field goal hit the post, and the Bucks win. Hey, they're 3-1 despite all the struggles. And Patriots, frustrating stuff. I think I look at this game like there's just no business this team had losing to the Dolphins and the Saints as badly
Uh-huh.
as they did, especially the Dolphins. As I've watched that team more and more, that game is just so frustrating because obviously you could still say, hey, we're still second in the division, tied for second in the division. The playoff teams right now include the Broncos and Bengals. So obviously we could still make up the ground. But I think you're looking a lot differently at this team if it's 2-2. And with the way the Dolphins have played, there's just no reason they should have lost that game.
Yeah. Two things. One thing that's interesting is that we didn't talk about on the show, but sort of looking at the stat sheet now. So New England, -1 rushing yard. That's obviously not great. They still had more yards per play than Tampa Bay. I mean, Mac Jones, with no running game whatsoever, still did a very good job against this Buccaneers defense. And you could say it's the weak secondary, but still, literally a negative running game and still finding a way to, outgain the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I mean, he was really good in this game. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought we saw, I didn't think the 3 interceptions were his fault last week,
Right.
but I thought, he did make some mistakes. And I think the one thing that we saw from all of the rookie quarterbacks is significant strides, is that game simplifying from them. But even though Mac, I thought through the first 3 weeks, was the guy who probably was the best rookie almost by default, I thought he was very impressive again in this one. He kind of broke down the defense. He avoided the blitz. And Todd Bowles is a difficult defensive coordinator to go against. And he avoided the blitz, understood the protections, and made the right throws throughout the game. You can say it's dinking and dunking, but at the same time, if you're getting 5, 6, 7 yards of play every play, it's going to work eventually. And they were able to go down. He threw a couple good touchdowns too in this game. I thought it was a very good game for him.
Yeah, I thought so as well. I thought he was very impressive. And, I think the last thing we have to talk about, that decision to kick the field goal at the end there by Bill Belichick, I think neither one of us were fans of it.
No, we weren't. And we said it during the broadcast before the kick even happened too. We said it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a frustrating play call. I mean, the thing is like the Patriots hadn't really struggled in short yardage situations. They weren't running the ball well, but their short yardage situations, as I was saying during the broadcast kind of thing, was that, you know, they're basically running these short hitch routes to Jacoby Myers at the blitz, and that's basically their equivalent of a run game in this game. They could have just done that, something like that again, had a look like that, and maybe run something off of it too, and try and get a first down that way. Instead, they go for the kick, and you had an old kicker kicking 56 yards and it missed.
Yeah. If you want to hear more thoughts on that, we have you can listen to our show where we talked for over 3 hours broadcasting the game. Let's move on. Let's go to another game. Let's start here. So where are all those Zach Wilson haters coming at me on Twitter? Zach Wilson is a bust. Oh, Jackson, you moron! You missed on Herbert last year. You thought Zach Wilson was going to be good. Well, how about that? How about one of the best rookie performances of the season? Probably the best of the season.
Yeah, I mean, he was very good in this game. I didn't see the interception, but, the second
It was
half of this.
it
Go
was
ahead.
Corey Davis fell. It was kind of a dangerous play, anyways, but the receiver fell.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, there was some very impressive throws made in this game. A couple of them, the one where he was rolling to the right, then threw it on the run and on the money, that was big. I thought Davis was good in this game. I thought Crowder was good in this game. I mean, it was an impressive performance from the Jets on the offense side of the ball. They didn't run the ball very well, but Zach Wilson made the throws he needed to make, and dare I say, a guy that we rated the 7th best quarterback in football in our quarterback rankings, Zach Wilson outplayed Ryan Tannehill in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair, and we'll get to the Titans' offensive side in a second. I think because I think the Zach Wilson story was incredible, where things just weren't working, and then all of a sudden he kind of just said like I think they kind of just realized, hey, our best offensive play is Zach Wilson scrambling outside the pocket and making something happen. And listen, I know some of the people that are still Zach Wilson haters are still going to talk about things like, well, there were some missed throws, right? There were a couple clunky plays. I thought there were more miscommunications than missed throws, but there's still some things that were just a bit off. But to me, the comparison I made, and I think this is a good comparison, is like Zach Wilson and Josh Allen, right? It's like not everything's perfect. There's still some clunkiness, but the good by far and away is outweighing the bad here.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And especially in this game, finally it's outweighing the bad basically. But he made some good throws and, he was given just a little bit more time today. His receivers helped him out a little bit more. And all of a sudden, the stuff that looked sloppy in the first 3 weeks looked pretty good in this game.
Yeah, and Corey Davis, who was having just a horrible first quarter, really turned it around. I mean, because he dropped the pass, he fell down that led to the touch. So again, he's a rookie. Not everything is perfect, but it was very nice to see as someone who is getting a lot of criticism for being the Zach Wilson, one of his biggest fans, and people, constantly tweeting at me and calling me a moron. Even on like, I would make videos that had nothing to do with Zach Wilson. People would comment, "You moron! You thought Zach Wilson was going to be great." Well, he was great today. So yeah, I'm going to take a bit of a victory lap here, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, he looked good, and then I guess the defense also looked pretty good for the Jets. I thought too. I mean. John Franklin Myers is a real guy. Like, this guy is really impressive, I thought, off the edge. He had a really impressive sack in this one. And then Quinnen Williams had a great game, too. I mean, I thought the whole defensive line did pretty well in this game. They got after Tannehill in this one.
I can't help but point out A.J. Brown and Julio Jones weren't playing in this game. Like, I think that's a huge deal. Like, I think that we're kind of all glossing over that and saying, I'd be like, yeah, Tannehill, like, his numbers aren't spectacular. Under 300 yards on 49 attempts. And Derrick Henry had 157 yards on 4.8 yards per carry. But like, Tannehill did have some good drives, and I think that, like, it wasn't, again, Tannehill playing in this game. This was Zach Wilson's reality of having no one to throw to. But I would still say, like, receivers matter a lot, and this kind of shows that when you don't have your top two receivers in this game, and Josh Reynolds is looking like your number one receiver, that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And I mean, it was a tough game. We knew the injuries were going to be a tough thing for them. I mean, I think the thing is, though, is that I just think personally, like, as I'm looking at this, and I had Tannehill at 7-2, seventh best quarterback in football. And I still think he's an above average quarterback. But I know, like, guys like Herbert and Carr and who's the other guy we had below him? Murray, too, that we had below him, have their receivers, their full strength of receivers. But I just felt like if I had one of those guys back there, I feel better about Tennessee in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel like I'd rather have Carr than Tannehill, and I didn't say that prior to the season. I agree with that.
Yeah, and I would have. I mean, Murray is probably the MVP. If we're gonna keep re-ranking the MVP ladder after each week, Murray is number one right now. So I mean. It was a tough game from him. I know he was missing a lot. It was a depleted situation. But yeah, I mean, you still feel like, hey, it's the Jets. We should be able to score more than 24.
Yeah. All right, let's go to another impressive rookie quarterback. This was kind of the week of rookie quarterbacks. So let's go Lions Bears here. I thought Justin Fields looked good. And listen, I know it's the Lions. Sure, there were some throws that were wide open, but I also thought that he made some impressive throws on top of that. I made a video about it, and I made maybe a cardinal sin apparently, where I said that, hey, this is a good play call, so let's give Matt Nagy some credit because we gave him so much blame last week. Turns out Bill Lazor, I believe his name, is the one calling plays. Bears fans not happy. I gave an ounce of credit to Matt Nagy. That very unhappy about that. But I thought that Justin Fields did look very good in this one, and I feel optimistic about Fields. If this is what we're getting. Again, I know it's the Lions, but it's still a good performance.
Yeah, I mean, it's baby steps. It was, I mean, anything was better than the last week. But I thought he made good throws in this one. I thought he stood in the pocket pretty well. I thought there was even a play where he avoided the blitz pretty well and made a nice play out of it. So I just think, yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good game from him overall. I thought he made some pretty good plays in this one. And the Bears have to feel good about this game. You were able to run the ball really well. I don't know why they still don't run Justin Fields a little bit more. I want to see that a little bit more, especially with the way Williams and Montgomery are going right now, and especially how they went in this game. I feel like if you just add Fields to that dimension too, that's really tough to defend. Maybe we'll see it sprinkled in more and more throughout the season. Remains to be seen. But yeah, I mean, I thought he stepped up, made some good throws in this game.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, when they have ran Justin Fields, it hasn't worked. His yards that he has gained has been off of scrambles, but
Yeah.
I agree with you. They've only done it like a few times. Do it more. It's too small of a sample size to give up on it. On the flips, so yeah, good stuff from Justin Fields, especially after last week, which was just such a mess. Shows a lot. I mean, again, I want to root for Justin Fields. The Bears fans make it hard, but I want to root for him. I kind of don't, because Bears fans get mad at me for my take on Justin Fields. But like, he seems he's the kind of guy you want to root for.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to say that he's a bad person or anything like that. So I think there are strides made in this game, and I hope he continues to play well. I hope
Elite
that there's
fumble recovery.
Yeah.
Justin Fields, another fumble recovery in this one.
Yeah, that's true. I hope there's one day where guys like Ben Roethlisberger aren't in the league, and there's 32 good starting quarterbacks in the NFL. So I want everybody to be good. So
yeah, I think Winston has to get out of there as well. But that's a podcast for another day. On the flip side, I was right. The Lions suck, right?
I mean, even in this game, it's like you had the ball 3 times in the 10-yard line and didn't score. You had one where the center snapped the ball off the quarterback's chest when he wasn't looking. You had one where I think it was Khalil Mack made a heck of a play, basically, and getting Goff in the backfield, hitting him basically as he's trying to throw. And then I remember the third one. So it was just like, I mean, I picked the Lions to win this game, and obviously they got outplayed in this game. I'm not saying they deserve to win, but at the same time, they had plenty of opportunities to win this game. If they even get field goals out of those drives, then it doesn't look so foolish to pick the Lions, because it's a 1-point game. You can't not score when you're inside the 10-yard line. It's as simple as that.
I just feel like we view the Lions differently than we view every other team. For the Lions, if everything went perfectly great, then look at how good they would be. Like, the Lions aren't a good football team. Like, I feel like I'm in crazy land. Like, they're a bad football team. Like, why can't we all just admit this? I don't understand. They're fun. They're fun. We all love Dan Campbell. We all want the Lions to be good, but they're not.
That defense isn't good. I'll admit that. I think this offense can move the ball at least a little bit.
I agree.
And like I said, even 14 points and then 3 more drives inside the 10. But it just seemed like the defense was chasing ghosts out there. And this isn't even like, that nobody was calling this Bears offense through 3 games explosive, and they looked explosive in this game.
Right. Yeah, again, I'm giving Fields credit because I do think he made some really good throws. There also were some plays where they're just like receivers wide open, and we've seen this time and time again. So, all right, let's move on. Let's go to another game. Let's go to Browns Vikings here. Kind of a weird game. I think we all expected a higher scoring game. It ends up being 14-7. An element of that is, teams like to run the ball a lot. So, not exactly a 15 possession game on either side. I thought Baker wasn't great in this game. I actually thought it was not very good, especially
Baker sucked in this game.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. And he couldn't get any connection with Odell Beckham Jr., but that also kind of is maybe maybe a reason for optimism as a Browns fan, if you are, because your quarterback didn't play well, your number 1 receiver didn't play well, and you won against a good football team.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess I'll start with this. I was thinking it was going to be an offensive game. I think everybody thought it was an offensive game. But I thought it was going to be a lot of like long possessions because both these teams run the ball so well. Cousins starts the game on the first drive 6 for 6 with a touchdown. And I'm like, all right, Minnesota's offense is rolling again. And then I thought this was the most impressive Browns performance defensively this season. And I know
that's saying something. Yeah.
I know what it was last week, but I mean, given the circumstances and dealing with this offense compared to the Bears with Fields' first start, this was wildly impressive. The coverage was terrific against this Minnesota receiving group. The pass rush got after Cousins. The Jeremiah
Owusu-Koramoah?
Yes, is an
you can call JOK. Just call him JOK.
Yeah, he's an absolute maniac out there. The ground he covers. I mean, everything about this team was so impressive in this game defensively. I thought it was their best defensive performance of the year. And, this is why you invest in the defensive secondary that you do, because it was really good in this game.
Yeah, and even when there was an injury, you have Greedy Williams come in, and he ends up getting an interception in this game. So yeah, this team can cover well. And again, as I keep talking about this stuff, you can cover, you can win football games.
Yeah. And they did, because the offense really didn't hold up its end. It's another one where they had another time down in the red zone too that they didn't score. And it looked like Minnesota might have some momentum off of that. They didn't really capitalize on it. I thought Cousins was okay in this game. He started off really hot. There just wasn't really a lot of open guys. He had,
Mm-hmm.
everyone criticizes him for basically going to the check down immediately, but that's basically all that was open. He had one shot downfield that he took, and he basically missed short rather than miss long, and Greedy Williams made the play on it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was way better than Baker in this game, even though the stat line wasn't that great. Yeah, so Baker. Anything else you want to add about Minnesota and their offense?
No, I think we can move on to the Browns.
Yeah, let's put it this way. I thought Odell Beckham could have had like 4 touchdowns in this game. There is at least 2 that basically
there were 2 bad ones. Yeah,
there was 2 bad ones that Baker threw it off Dantzler's helmet, the back of his helmet. He wasn't even looking at Baker. And then there was another one that he was wide open that he completely missed too. And there wasn't even, he couldn't have thrown it off a defensive back's helmet because there wasn't a defensive back that close to him. I thought Beckham this was the most impressive 2-catch performance out of a wide receiver I've ever seen. And his quarterback just wasn't giving him the ball. He could have had, I thought, 2 or 3 touchdowns at least in this game, and Baker just missed him. It's as simple as that. Well, we'll praise Baker when he plays well on this podcast, but you also have to criticize him when he's this poorly.
I think that's totally fair. And again, Baker is a tier 3 quarterback, right? He'll have his highs, he'll have his lows. And this is kind of what this is kind of, part of why I had the Browns as the Super Bowl pick, is because I think that the team around Baker is so great, not necessarily Baker himself. And I do think that you do want to see better play from Mayfield, although he did turn it up late last season. So maybe he'll do it again this season.
Yeah. I'm not saying that there's a reason for panic. He was just, it was a bad game from him. And I think that he's going to have good games in this season. And I think he's going to look really good in a lot of games, but it wasn't good from today.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on. Let's go to, some interesting, how about Giants Saints? Danny Dimes coming through. This was a surprise. How about New York football is back?
2-0, 2-0 in overtime. This game was really weird. Like I kind of thought it was over at one point, and then the Giants just started kind of chipping their way at this thing. Jones was really impressive in this game, attacking this New Orleans secondary, especially late in the game. He really went at them. John Ross with the big play in the touchdown. Not something you expected to say at all this season.
Right.
The Giants, this is the thing. I didn't think the Giants, even though 0-3, looked like one of the worst teams in football, and they definitely proved it again in this one. They didn't look like one of the worst teams in football again.
Yeah. I think that the Darius Slayton injury, they had a couple injuries in the receiving corps, might have been a blessing in disguise, because we got to see guys like John Ross and Kadarius Toney finally get playing time. Kadarius Toney looked awesome in this one. He looked like the guy that we saw at Florida, which I was starting to get worried as my take of how much I loved him. I'm like, man, am I really that bad at grading receivers? And for whatever reason, no one's giving me criticism for that one, which is like a totally fair thing to blame me for. I thought that he'd be the best receiver out of the draft, and we struggled through 3 weeks, but he finally found his groove. Kenny Golladay, again, give a quarterback receivers, it'll work. But it was still a crazy comeback. They were down 21-10 in the fourth quarter in this one.
Yeah, scored 11 unanswered to come back and win this one. Yeah, they were impressive. I give them a lot of credit. I thought the defense did a good job here. I give them a lot of credit. It was a good win for the Giants, and they really needed it. I think you feel good about it. I think on the Saints side, I think it's got to be frustrating to drop a game like this, right?
Yeah, this is tough. One last thought about the Giants is we got to talk about Saquon Barkley. Numbers aren't crazy. He was awesome in this one. He did a ton. He had over 100 total yards, but just 74 receiving. He had a great catch in this one. Great route more than anything. Flip side, yeah, for the Saints, I thought Winston played fine in this one. I thought he actually played pretty well, especially given the receiving core that he has going against him. But yeah, this is it's a tough blow.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that it definitely seems like, I mean, for better because we know who Jameis Winston is.
Hmm.
They definitely have, like, the training wheels on him. Like, they're not taking a whole lot. He had the touchdown to Harris in week 1, but they're not asking him to do, like, crazy stuff. And in this game, again, I thought he managed the game pretty well. And it was a similar thing that I said is the Saints' path to victory in a lot of games is Kamara gets touches. He had 26 carries in this game. Weirdly, I don't think he had a target in this game, if I remember correctly. Yeah, didn't have a target, which was a little surprising, but I think they were prioritizing him out of the backfield. And he's still at 26 carries though. And that's kind of how you win this game is Kamara's going to get the ball. You got to get stops at the end of the game and you got to convert some first downs. They weren't able to do it.
Yeah, there's also a hilarious moment in this one where Winston gets a long touchdown pass. It gets called back due to a penalty. They then run the exact same play with Taysom Hill in quarterback, and he throws an interception. So that was pretty great.
Yeah, I made a joke during the broadcast that, or during the game that,
Mhm.
Taysom Hill is basically the NFL's version of "And There's a Drive to Deep Left" by Castellanos for the home run. Like
uh,
it's just the bit that's never going to die. And
hmm.
once again, they get down to the goal line. The Giants they motion everybody out of the backfield. It's literally just Taysom Hill standing there, and they still have no idea how to defend this stupid running play. And he gets 2 touchdowns off of it.
Yeah, I agree. This is again Daniel Jones over 400 yards on 40 attempts. I can't remember the last quarterback who had 400 yards on 40 or less attempts.
I mean, he was good
Maybe
in this game.
Fitzpatrick. I think Fitzpatrick did it one week.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I mean that was it was an impressive game for him. It's been weird. I don't know what to think of this Daniel Jones league.
Yeah, his one interception was on a Hail Mary. I mean, I do think it's like the story of this year has to be if you give a quarterback receivers, they play better. Like they look way better. Isn't like, with the Sam Darnold stuff, the Zach Wilson, like I think that's a fair like Ryan Tannehill. I think that should be a takeaway we have from this season a little bit through 4 weeks.
Wide receivers help quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
people will still whatever. I'm not going to
No, I
argue with
agree.
Twitter again. Let's move on. Let's talk about the guy I kind of brought up. Let's talk about Sam Darnold. Falling short to the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't think Darnold was horrible in this one, despite his 2 interceptions that were kind of on him. But Darnold was Darnold. Darnold's what we kind of expect from Darnold. I think the real takeaway is that this again, probably I would say the real takeaway is this Cowboys offense is really good, but we kind of already knew that, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't take a whole lot away from this game, honestly.
Hmm.
I guess the one thing I say is the Panthers played a pretty good team and hung in there, because we wanted to see what this Panthers team was exactly. Obviously, the defense wasn't going to put up the numbers it was in the first 3 weeks, but I thought they still did a pretty good job in this game overall. DJ Moore was really good in this game. But yeah, I mean, like you said, I don't totally blame Darnold for those 2 interceptions or for the bad plays or anything like that. But at the same time, he did have a couple turnovers, but he played pretty well in this game and he hung tough in this game and they only lost this game by 8.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is kind of what we first off. I mean, like we probably should mention, like Trayvon Diggs. Oh my goodness, 5 interceptions in 4 games.
Yeah.
What a monster this guy has been. Also, yeah, I mean, this is kind of what Darnold is. Darnold is kind of this. He's on script quarterback. Sometimes that script is going to be a little faulty, and when it does, it's going to turn into bad plays. But it also gets you to positives. And also, I mean, he's got 5 rushing touchdowns as well. So I feel like there's a bit of a weirdness to people are going crazy over it. Like Darnold's always been an athletic guy. I don't know why somehow everyone's forgotten about this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And also he wasn't run at all at New York. So it also made no sense.
Hmm.
Um, I guess the one thing to look at is I was looking at this stat earlier and I just pulled it up. So in the first half, he was 12 of 16 for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing. And he was blitzed on only 2 of his 20 dropbacks. In the first 10 dropbacks, he was blitzed 4 times, went 1 of 3 with an interception and a sack. And this is something that he definitely struggled with in New York was how much he struggled against the blitz and reading blitz protections and also getting the ball out. Is this something that teams are going to start to capitalize on more going forward with him?
Probably.
Yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
honestly. But I mean, do you feel better about this Panthers team now that you saw it against a decent team?
No, I don't. I don't feel better about them. I mean, this is kind of a lot of my concerns and why I said pump the brakes a little bit on the Panthers and the Panthers fans got mad at me for saying why haven't you admitted Sam Darnold was fantastic? Why haven't you, admitted that this coverage unit is fantastic? Well, their defense wasn't great in this one. I mean, I'm sorry, but 7.2 yards to Ezekiel Elliott, 6.7 yards to Tony Pollard. They give up a lot of runs on the ground. I think they're banged up as well. And I think the injuries are hurting them. So when they're healthy, they're a different team, and that factors in, but they're not healthy. So I think the Panthers are a good team. I felt that way heading into this week, but I definitely would feel, if on a scale of 1 to 1,000, I'm not sure exactly where they are, but if they were like a 700, I would put them at maybe like a 650 now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that they still got to keep up with those NFC West teams. That's going to be tough. New Orleans is still in the conversation, even though they
Mhm.
beat New Orleans. That's going to be tough. It's just kind of, can you beat out those teams? Because I don't think this is an elite team.
Yeah, but again, they're exciting and they're rebuilding and they're trying to get better, and their young players are playing better. So I still feel this is a team that's a year away, but that's better than being, some of these teams that have been rebuilding for a decade.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's go to, how about Cardinals Rams? Now, to break the fourth wall a little bit to the audience here, I have not paid much attention to those late games, so you won't be getting too much of my opinions on this. So just because I was busy with other stuff, and I didn't have time to rewatch those games because we were doing the live stream of the Sunday night broadcast. So, Kyle, I'm going to let you take the floor a little bit. What were your thoughts on the Cardinals kind of surprisingly blowing out the Rams here?
Yeah, I mean, they just played with so much confidence in this game, and that was very prevalent from the get-go. I thought, the Rams looked good on their first drive, went down and scored, and then all of a sudden the Cardinals just kind of got a stop, and that trickled into another stop. A couple turnovers went their way. Then all of a sudden the Cardinals are up 20, and you're just like, "Oh, wow. Okay. This game's basically over now." And that's really
Mhm.
what this game came down to is, a couple turnovers on the Rams side, and then the Cardinals capitalized on them. I thought, the first throw was a Stafford interception that was Byron Murphy made a great play on the ball first. I thought Deshaun Jackson kind of, you know, could have fought for the ball a little more and he didn't. And that ended up in
He's not. That's Deshaun Jackson. Like, he's not going to do that.
yeah, I know. So, I mean, he didn't though, and then Stafford ends up with the pick there. The second one was the Sony Michel fumble, and then, like I said, all of a sudden the Cardinals were just up big, and it was basically over. I think the surprising thing in this one was that the Cardinals were able to move the ball pretty efficiently in this game, going after that Rams secondary. Um, it was a really good game for them, and definitely a statement to me. I was really impressed because, I mean, I don't know if I think they're going to do this kind of thing consistently against the Rams, but going up against what I thought was the best team in the NFC, they showed out.
Yeah, I mean, this was, again, it was shocking to me, and I was very surprised by this. One stat that sticks out at me is yards per play. The Rams actually had more yards per play than the Cardinals, 6.3 to 6.2, so barely. But is that kind of how you felt this game was more of an even game than the score would indicate, or was it really the Cardinals just blowing the brakes off the Rams?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think the Rams really struggled to move the ball. It's just they turned the ball over at times. They made some mistakes, and that's why kind of this game ended up a 17-point game. And I think at one point it was 37-13. So I think that the turnovers kind of killed them, but that's kind of how football works, is that even if you move the ball a whole bunch, you got to finish drives. We just saw it with this Tampa game too. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I thought it was a decent game, and I do think that this game would be a lot closer if it's played like 10 times over. Um, but I think the Cardinals showed that they can match with this game, and I wasn't sure if they were actually able to match with this team, a team like the Rams caliber, going into this game.
Yeah, well, another thing about the Cardinals that sticks out at me is we talk about Kyler Murray. You could calling him the modern day Brett Favre. Well, no turnovers in this one.
No, he hardly made any mistakes. He was really good in this game. The team ran the ball really well too, and I thought that was important. They were kind of ahead of the sticks. James Conner should just become his nickname should just be like the Vulture or something, because he just vultures touchdowns.
Uh huh.
Um,
Like
and
that.
yeah, so I mean, Edmonds was really good in this game though. AJ Green's back. I mean, they got a lot of
Hmm.
production at a lot of guys. Like you can even argue that Jalen Ramsey still won the DeAndre Hopkins battle, but the Cardinals still moved the ball pretty well. I thought Hopkins still had some moments in this game, but he wasn't even the third most important guy on this offense, I thought.
Yeah. Also, Colt McCoy getting some key kneel downs here. Colt McCoy is back.
Hey, still buying stock on Colt McCoy?
Oh, the name is too great. He's got to be good eventually. He's only 35. All right. Tom Brady hit his prime at 42. All right. Colt McCoy he's got time.
Yeah, holding out hope.
It's literally just his name. It's fantastic. Also, Colt McCoy, great name for the Arizona Cardinals. Put that on a red uniform. Fantastic.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good to me. I'll sign up.
All right. Well, let's move on. Unless you have any final thoughts on that one, let's go to how about Ravens Broncos. So this is kind of a weird game, right? I mean, again, I only kept one eye on it. Like I said, the late games were a little bit tough, but Lamar Jackson's stats look good, and I also know Teddy Bridgewater went out of the game in the third quarter. I believe it was 17-7 at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, I didn't see the injury, but I did see Locke come in and struggle. As Drew Lock, I kind of expected would struggle against the Ravens. Um, I think the thing is like, I thought from what I saw of this game, I thought the Broncos coverage actually wasn't terrible in this game, but it seemed like all of the Ravens touchdowns were basically off of broken coverages, and they just got guys open downfield and made plays off of it. I thought obviously Lamar was very good in this game. He hit the throws. He had a heck of a throw to Hollywood Brown for the touchdown. I thought Latavius Murray had a nice touchdown run too. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought they were. I didn't think the Broncos looked terrible in coverage. It's just kind of when it broke, the Ravens really took advantage of it.
Gotcha. Interesting. Well, again, part of the interesting thing about this game was right this great coverage unit against the Ravens, but then you kind of think about well, the Ravens' rushing attack could be fantastic, but it wasn't really the rushing attack that won the game for them. I mean, their rushing totals weren't that spectacular. It really was through the air that they were able to pull this one out.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't run the ball particularly well. Murray had probably 2 or 3 good runs, and then the rest was really nothing. It was just kind of the Lamar Jackson show in this one, and his receivers helped him out more than they had in the previous week. I thought Andrews, 5 catches, 67 yards. I thought he was good in this game. I thought Brown was good in this game, and I thought even Sammy Watkins, I thought he struggled at points, but I thought he was good in this game overall too.
So, how are we feeling about Denver now? They're 3-1. They looked very good through 3 weeks. Easy competition, but still, they blew out 3 teams. I mean, that's still NFL teams, and they play the Steelers next week, who we'll get to in a second. That should be another win. But how are we feeling towards Denver right now? And I guess part of that hinges on how big of a deal is the Teddy injury.
Yeah, I mean, not great. And honestly, I don't. I think
Okay.
this team's okay. Like, I think
Hmm.
they're fine. I mean, it's kind of pretty basically how we feel about the Panthers. I think this team's fine, but this is a team that has an opportunity. Like you said, they play the Steelers next week. This team that has opportunity to stack wins that you don't have to give back. You get to keep those wins no matter how impressive you look throughout the season. So they have a chance to pile up some wins here. Maybe that puts them in the playoff spot. I just don't really see this team doing a whole lot of damage. Even when Bridgewater was in, I didn't think he was great in this game. Um, you know, Javonte Williams was probably the most exciting part of their offense. They just weren't able to get the ball to him a whole lot, especially when they started trailing. They started throwing the ball more. There wasn't really a whole lot of situation for them.
Gotcha. And also, how about Baltimore? Lose a tough one week one. You're thinking, oh man, they got to play Kansas City. They're about to be 0-2. Come back strong, 3-1 now. Definitely better than I think a lot of Ravens fans thought they'd be, especially with the injuries they've had. Ready to move on?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll end with there we love to do these MVP talks early in the season and
Hmm.
basically re-rank the ladder. Is it Derek Carr? Is it Kyler Murray? Is it Matt Stafford? Is it Tom Brady? Is it all these guys?
Davis Mills.
Not Davis Mills. Lamar Jackson, based on this situation and the injuries he's dealt with on his offense, has been very impressive. This has been
Hmm.
a really good year from him, I thought, just overall.
Yeah. All right. Let's stick with some of these late games. Like hearing your thoughts on it. Let's go Seahawks Niners. People are very interested in thoughts about Trey Lance. Unfortunately, again, I just haven't paid much attention to this game. But what did you think about Trey Lance in this one?
He was a little sloppy. He ended up getting some stuff going at the end of the game. Like his first touchdown was basically a broken coverage that went for like 80 yards or something like that.
Okay.
Um, and then he really struggled. I thought he settled into the game a little bit more after that. And made some good throws, but I mean, I want to see a little bit more because it's very small sample size. His running game was obviously a big part of this game. And then, like I said, I thought he settled into the game better. Kind of when the game was over a little bit, he got the late touchdown that brought it to a 7-point game with the 2-point conversion. But I thought he was solid. I think you feel good if you saw this game and said, "Hey, Trey Lance was okay," but there's definitely things to improve upon.
Yeah, I mean, I think the real thing, though, is, I mean, this is a tough loss for the 49ers, though. And I guess we don't know the extent of Jimmy Garoppolo's injury, but, for the San Francisco 49ers, it's like, listen, like, you're trying to be a championship contender. They're 2-2 right now and just had a chance. They were up for a while against the division leaders, right? Or again, I don't pay too much attention to the game, but that's how I kind of feel.
Well, the thing is too is that this is a team that it it was another one kind of like the Vikings where I think Garoppolo was 6 for 6 on his first drive with a touchdown.
Okay.
Um, then all of a sudden the Seahawks defense played a lot better, but the offense just kind of stopped moving the ball. I felt like at times I didn't think Garoppolo was very good in this game, and for a guy playing for his job, I don't know, it just wasn't impressive for me in this game. I thought you know the 49ers have some holes. They have some glaring holes to this team. They're not very good at cornerback, I feel like. They are always injured no matter the year. And I think that's going to be a huge problem for this team going forward.
Yeah. Apparently it's a calf injury. I guess I'm reading a quote right now. Kyle Shanahan said he got hurt sometime in the first half. He said he got stepped on. So that's not great. Hopefully things are okay with Jimmy G. Because I do feel like, again, I didn't watch the Trey Lance stuff, but I did see that one huge play where it seemed like a lot of his yards came on that one busted coverage where Samuel was 10 yards down the field and ran for 70. Other than that, I mean, it does seem like you want, I mean, Kyle Shanahan feels Jimmy G should be the starter. You want your starting quarterback in there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the first play Jimmy Garoppolo could have easily made. I mean, there are some things that I thought Trey Lance did pretty well, but I mean, yeah, you want Garoppolo out there at the end of games, and obviously that hurt this team, I thought too. But I think on the other side too, the defense I thought didn't hold up very well too in this game. I thought Seattle kind of figured things out as they went along because the first quarter, like it was like 6 minutes left in the second quarter, and Wilson had like 6 yards passing. So it
Mhm.
was it was kind of a sloppy start to Seattle, but San Francisco couldn't really put the neck to or foot to the throat kind of thing. They couldn't take advantage of Seattle starting so terribly.
Interesting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this game, seeing more stuff about it. But that's some good stuff about it. Let's I think we can move on to another game. Let's talk. Let's see, where should we go here? How about let's go Chiefs Eagles. This was a fun game. We saw the Eagles, hang tight with the Chiefs for a bit. Eventually, Kansas City pulled away. All right, Kyle. I've changed my opinion on this like 75 times in the past 3 years. Tyreek Hill is the best wide receiver in football. I mean, this
Thank
was
you.
just you're right. Absolutely, he's absurd. He should not be able to be as fast as he is and move the way he moves.
I mean, he's the best weapon in football. He's the
Hmm.
best weapon. I mean, it's not even just the receiving stuff. I mean, the way he can they didn't run him in this game, but the impact he has in that, the way he can run routes, and they're so terrified of his deep ball that the routes are perfect basically. Yeah, I mean, he's awesome. So I obviously agree. I've been saying this. So he was awesome in this game. The Chiefs offense in this game was very good despite basically nothing from Travis Kelsey. So pretty impressive performance overall from the Chiefs.
Yeah, we might have gotten a bit too excited about the Eagles defense. Maybe that's not quite what we thought it potentially could be. Although their offense played well, but we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, Mahomes 5 touchdowns. He did still throw an interception in this one, but nearly 10 yards per attempt. And obviously, we talked about what's crazy about this game though is Tyreek Hill 186 yards. The next best, highest receiving player
Yeah.
was Travis Kelsey with 23 yards. I mean, Tyreek Hill is the Chiefs' offense at this point.
And the running game was really good too, and that was something we were a
Sure.
little concerned about. Williams had
Hmm.
4.2 yards per carry, Edwards-Helaire had 7 yards per carry, and even Mahomes had 5 yards per carry on a little limited rushes. Everybody kind of ran the ball well for the Chiefs, which was pretty impressive. And once again, shout out to Valdosta State, Jody Fortson, with the 2-yard receiving touchdown, his second of his career with the Chiefs, both 2-yard touchdown receptions.
Sure. On the flip side, though, Jalen Hurts looked good. And here's the question: even though the Chiefs won, they got Buffalo next week on Sunday Night Football. That should be an awesome game. Is it time to officially be concerned about this defense with the way that Philadelphia really did a number on this defense? I mean, Kansas City did fantastic offensively, but it was 7.5 yards per play to 6.6 yards per play. Both offenses had a great day in this one.
I mean, I'm already concerned about this defense. It doesn't
Yeah.
look like they can cover much of anybody. I mean, look at the top of this list here. Devontae Smith, 7 catches, 10 targets. Kenneth Gainwell, 6 catches, 8 targets. Dallas
Mhm.
Goedert, 5 catches, 5 targets. Zach Ertz, 6 catches, 8 targets. Like, who's even playing defense? Who is covering
Mhm.
anybody? I guess you could say they locked up Quez Watkins pretty well, 3 catches on 7 targets. But literally anybody who wants to be open can get open on this defense. I'm very concerned about this defense. It's a problem. It's a legitimate problem that this team with this team. One more question, I guess, with the Eagles offense that I thought was impressive in this game. Who did Miles Sanders piss off?
Why do you say this?
I don't know. I feel like I thought he was always a pretty good player, and then he
Mhm.
just doesn't get the touches. He had 7 carries in this game. I know they were trailing a lot in this game, but he's also a guy I thought was pretty good in passing situations too. He gets basically 10 touches in this game. I mean, the Eagles offense, I guess, can't really complain because they still got a bunch of yards. It just seems weird that he doesn't get the ball much at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing that stands out at me is when you get 7 carries for 13 yards. Okay, maybe I understand why you're going to start throwing the ball, especially when you're having the success you're having.
Yeah, and Hurts is good.
Hmm.
I'm a Jalen Hurts believer, I think.
Yes, all right. Hopefully, I'll continue converting. We can convert people together to the Jalen Hurts is good club.
I mean, he looked good in this game. Now that being said, we know what the Chiefs' defense is right now.
Right. That is also a fair point. Let's move on. Let's go to let's talk about this one just because I'm interested in it. How about Texans Bills? Ends up being 40-0. And it was weird because garbage time kind of works both ways. Like the Bills ended up outscoring the Texans 21-0 in the fourth quarter, which is just one of those weird things. Like how in garbage time do you get outscored 21-0? Davis Mills was hilarious in this game. He ends up with 87 yards on 21 attempts, no touchdowns, 4 interceptions. This is the closest to a Nathan Peterman game I think we've seen since that Nathan Peterman game.
Yeah, it was bad. It's a bad situation.
Yeah.
Everyone rushing to say the Texans are decent probably should take that back now.
Hmm.
In the dark recesses of my mind, I knew this game was going on, but I just couldn't bring myself to watch it, and I think I made the right decision.
Yeah, I think it's worth a watch. I think it's fantastic. I mean, listen, not all the interceptions were Mills's fault, but when you throw 4 of them, like that's going to happen. And we should give credit to the Bills. Like their defense played incredible, and part of me feels bad for Davis Mills a little bit because like he's not a horrible player. Like he shouldn't be a starting quarterback for the worst team in football. Like that's just unfortunate that he's gotten thrown in this situation. It's never what he should have been in the first place.
Yeah, it is a tough situation, and obviously not what he wanted to, not what the Texans wanted him to be in either. Um, I mean, this team's just basically in tank mode now, right? Like you had some excitement after week 1, but now you just see it's not there. I mean, do you start basically saying let's trade Deshaun Watson at this point?
I mean, if you can trade Deshaun Watson, trade him immediately. Yeah, absolutely. What do you even mean? Yeah, of course. If someone gives you a 7th round pick, trade him.
I don't know about that, but I think
I do know about that. Do whatever you can get. If you
if
can
you
get
can net a
something.
couple first rounders, I think still for him, I would do it.
Yeah, done. Yes, I mean we're on different wavelengths here. I don't think Deshaun Watson's ever going to play again in the NFL. That's what I think. At least not for a couple years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on, but I mean, there's still comments that teams want him, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with
Mhm.
that going forward. You might as well just try and net anything for him.
Yeah, I think whoever gives you the best offer, trade him. Whatever. I totally and get him out of there. I'm all on board on that. But yeah, as a whole for the Texans, I mean this is rough. Although for the Bills, we should mention like the Bills have now won a couple of like they beat the Texans 40-0. They beat the Washington football team 21-43. They beat the Dolphins 35-0. They lost to the Steelers, which was weird and stupid, but that was also largely due to a blocked punt for a touchdown. Like the Bills, the past 3 weeks have been the best team in football.
Yeah, they look good. This is the team that I picked to win the Super Bowl, and they're looking that
Yeah.
part right now. The defense is much better this season. The passing game is starting to figure things out too. After kind of a sloppy first couple weeks, they're kind of rounding into form here. The Bills look good.
Yeah. I think so as well. Yeah. I mean, who wins? Bills and Browns play today. Who wins?
Bills.
Okay, I'll stick with the Browns. We'll see how it goes down
I
the stretch.
I mean, based off of if we get today's Baker without Jarvis Landry, I'm
Mm.
taking the Bills.
Okay, well if we get week 1 Josh Allen, then I'm taking the Browns.
Fair enough. Touche.
All right, let's move on. We got 4 games left. We got Jaguars, Bengals, Colts, Dolphins, Balls, Falcons, and Steelers, Packers. Let's go Thursday night. Jaguars, Bengals. Fun game, I thought. And again, this kind of started the rookie quarterback starting to play well trend. Trevor Lawrence. I know that they lost, but this was a lot of fun to watch. Trevor Lawrence.
He was dealing in this game to start. I thought they were very good in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
James Robinson was really good. I mean, there was a lot to really like about the Jaguars game today. Urban Meyer really loved it post game, apparently.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, Urban Meyer's loving a lot of things recently, but
yeah, honestly. So the grind doesn't stop, if you know what I mean. So
there you go. We need a bell or something. That's the line in the podcast, I think.
yeah. So I mean, listen, there was some interesting stuff here from the Jaguars. I thought this was easily Lawrence's best game. I thought he had some impressive moments in this game, but I guess who was equally more impressive is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was really good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, both young quarterbacks. I mean, this is something. It does feel like I know we say like, oh, these are the future of the leagues a lot. It feels like this is the future of the league, right? It feels like these two teams are going to play each other in an AFC Championship game in like 4 years, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, the Jaguars can still
Okay.
Jaguar it up, and the
Mhm.
Bengals can still bangle it up by
I never
basically.
said for their teams.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair enough. So, yeah, I mean, I think these two guys are really good, and I saw a lot of promise out of this game, especially from the Lawrence side. We knew Joe Burrow was good, and he was good again.
Hmm. Yeah. One fun thing I thought I saw from the Jaguars, I mentioned this in my video about it, is there was a fun play where they get a catch out of bounds. It was kind of they wanted to make sure they hurry it up so that way the Bengals can't challenge it. The Jaguars hurry it up, and then instead of running the ball, which is what you typically do, run a quarterback option. I thought that was a little clever play by them.
Yeah. No, I thought they did a really good job in this game, and for as unprepared as they looked some of the early games, I think they just look a lot more organized and more prepared, especially in the offensive side.
Yeah. One other thought is, I mean, what the hell were they thinking drafting Travis Etienne? James Robinson is a good halfback. Why did you draft another halfback? Why do you need 2 halfbacks?
It's baffling because I mean there was a couple receivers they could have had at that point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I remember if the story correctly is they wanted Kadarius Toney, and then when he got drafted earlier, they just like panicked. They just like didn't have another plan.
There was no plan B. I mean, JOK wouldn't have helped this defense or anything, right?
No, I mean, in fairness, maybe not because the defense is still looking a little rough. But that's maybe good thing we traded away a corner for an okay tight end.
Yeah, honestly. Hey, didn't he have a touchdown in this game? No.
Maybe. I mean, he's not a bad tight end, but yeah.
2 catches, 29 yards. Can't replace that.
There you go. Yeah, that's irreplaceable. Let's move on. 3 games left. Let's go to. Well, this one's close. I guess we might as well talk about it. Balls at Falcons. Kyle, what were your thoughts on this one?
It wasn't Ryan Fitzpatrick back there, but there was some real magic to Taylor Heineke, man. Making
Uh-huh.
some big plays. The play to JD McKissick for the touchdown was maybe the wildest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like he's like rolling left. He basically like spins around and turns his back to the pass rusher to throw it back to McKissick. And then the Falcons, did Falcon stuff and forgot how to tackle. And
Uh-huh.
McKissick just ends up keep running, and all of a sudden he's in the end zone. It felt like Forrest Gump, like just don't stop. And he's in the end zone for a touchdown. And then just like that, the balls win. The balls are back. They can't cover anybody. Like Mike Davis broke like 7 tackles on like a halfback flat route for a touchdown. Cordarrelle Patterson has been unlocked. I mean, there was so much like just ridiculousness to this game, but the balls won, and you got to feel good about that.
Yeah, I mean, Cordero Patterson becoming an elite wide receiver is definitely not the narrative I foresaw coming in 2021. The guy had 3 receiving touchdowns in this game. I mean, that's just bonkers.
I've had him on my fantasy bench the last 3 weeks
Okay,
because I have no room to
brutal.
start him. But yeah, I mean, he was really good in this game again.
I'm 0-4 in fantasy.
That's not good.
Yeah, no, it's not. I've been favored to win every week and lost all 4. Fantasy, not my thing. People will still ask me for advice. You don't want my advice. Take whatever I do. It the opposite of what I say.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. But yeah, I mean, overall,
Sorry.
no, it's fine. It's just like, I mean, I don't even know how to describe this game. It was just wild, wasn't it? Like all of a sudden,
Yeah.
the Washington's back. I almost called them the Redskins. Thinking about it so much, the balls are back in it, and all of a sudden, it's just that touchdown play was so ridiculous.
Yeah. Hopefully, the Washington football team can again. No clue what happened to their defense. I mean, I've kind of talked
Yeah.
about. I think a big chunk of it is their linebackers can't cover, and so
Yes.
like teams can just take advantage of that so significantly, especially when Ron Rivera loves his zone defense. So that's obviously a big aspect. But still, pulling out wins. Taylor Heineke he's Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's young Ryan Fitzpatrick.
It feels like it sometimes.
Mhm.
I mean, he made some good plays in this one. He's still the best bad quarterback I've ever seen, I think.
Yeah, he's certainly up there. Let's move on. So 2 games left. I guess let's go Colts Dolphins here. So the Colts won this game. This was definitely a loser leaves town game, although they're kind of both losers. Although hey, Colts only 1 game out of a playoff spot. Granted, so are the Texans. So I don't know how good you feel about that. This was quite frankly, this was an ugly offensive game by both sides.
The Dolphins suck. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I tweeted at like the second quarter. I didn't enjoy watching 1 second of this.
Mhm.
Basically what happened is the Colts started realizing that Jonathan Taylor is on their team and started
Uh-huh.
giving him the ball more. And then he just started breaking off like 20-yard runs. Oh, so he was really good in this game. He ended up 6.4 yards per carry. Still only got 16 carries somehow, but ended up with the touchdown. I thought Wentz was okay in this game. They didn't ask him to do a whole lot. And when he had throws, he made them. Um, yeah, I mean, this Dolphins team stinks though. It really does. I don't even care about being nice. Like, honestly, I'm sorry, Luke Brown, but like there's just nothing that they can do that's desirable. They had some garbage time points in this game, but Brissett having the fumble that kind of cost it at the end, there just isn't a lot to be excited about this team.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Brown, or the great Luke Brown, in the comments saying Dolphins need Tua back ASAP. When you're saying that, you're having a hard time. I think. Also, I forgot to put mammals in the banner. Apologies for that. Yeah, this was tough. I mean, this is just it's not a great football team. I mean, that's just kind of what I have to say about it. And I know maybe Tua helps to some degree, but I don't know. This was just ugly, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, it was. It's not something like Jalen Waddle's really exciting, but this offense is still not exciting at all. Like he
Mhm.
had a couple plays in this game that he really broke and made something out of it, but you can't get consistency out of that, especially when you have a bunch of guys like. I mean, I think Devontae Parker's a good receiver, but he's been very much masking this team as a number 1 receiver, where he's clearly like a number 3 guy. He doesn't get the consistent separation to be a number 1 guy. I think. The running game is a non-factor, and this is another team that's basically ignored the running back position for years now, and it's really hurt them. Malcolm Brown's not a starting running back in the NFL. Um, I just think there's a lot of issues with this team right now, and I don't really see how it gets better. The good news is they did get a turnover, punt return, fumble recovery.
There
So
you
the
go.
turnover streak lives on.
I don't know if I fully agree with the sentiment that like them ignoring the running back position has hurt them. I think them ignoring the offensive line position is
That's fair.
the real flaw here.
Well, the problem is that it seems like they're ignoring everything but like trying to address quarterback. You know,
Hmm.
they didn't get a running back, which a good running back can help a bad offensive line. They didn't get an offensive line, which can help bad running backs. So yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of issues that they didn't have any of them.
Yeah. This chat is wild. What the f up with your hair? Kyle, I guess I'm not a big fan of your hair. I don't know. I think it looks fine.
Yeah, I think I mean, I am due for a haircut. The edges are getting a little long, but
Hmm.
we'll make it work.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, I mean, again, they put a lot of resources into this receiving core, but it's like, okay, well, Tua didn't look great, and now he's hurt. Now you have Jacoby Brissett. It's just a tough thing. I still don't know if I believe in the Colts, but at least we should talk about the Colts side. At least they won. Like they did some stuff. Carson Wentz looked fine in this one. Jonathan Taylor looked good. There's at least some optimism, although I still think their receiving core is not good enough to do much, even if you do turn it around.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about this. I mean, I have no gauge for this team. Like, even this, I didn't think that they were. I didn't think they looked fantastic, but I mean, I don't know. I think that they might win a few games, but I don't know if they're going to be good enough to get back into that we thought this team was a playoff contender. I just don't think they're going to be that team.
Yeah, the best thing going for them is how weak the AFC South has been so far.
Yeah, I mean, they're a game out of the division lead right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what they got going for them. Let's move on. One game left. Steelers, Packers.
Huh.
I mean, whatever. Packers are good. Steelers aren't.
Yeah, I mean, the Big Ben thing, like, I mean, it's bad. It really is. Like, 40 pass attempts for 232 yards. He missed Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, it wasn't even just that the misses were bad. Like, Juju Smith-Schuster's wide open on 2 pass plays that he just airmails. And this guy, they don't have a good offensive line. Big Ben isn't mobile enough to move around the bad offensive line. And he's never been a guy who's been a quick decision kind of quarterback. He's been a guy that kind of sits in there, waits in the pocket, stays on his feet somehow and makes a play. And he can't do that anymore. He doesn't have the legs to do that anymore like he used to. And it's like I said, he's not mobile enough with this bad offensive line, and he's not good enough in a clean pocket to be a good quarterback. I mean, they have to make a change. Somebody has to play. Anybody, literally anybody could play quarterback, and it's better than what they have right now. It's a bad situation, and it's a really bad offense.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, you got to try something. I mean, again, I think part of it too, though, is like maybe we don't know how bad these backup quarterbacks are playing for Pittsburgh. Like maybe that's part of it, the aspect is like maybe the backup quarterbacks are playing even worse in practice.
I mean, I'm fully convinced both of those guys are bad, but I would just be willing to throw them in and give them a shot because this isn't going to work the whole season. It just really isn't. Big Ben's he's gonna get hurt before he gets good. Um, I don't know.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, I think it's a bad situation. Like, if it wasn't for Najee Harris and Deontay Johnson, this would be the worst offense in football easily.
I was about to say, hey, stop throwing the ball to your halfback in the flat on fourth downs. Like, hey, mate, that's not really working out. Maybe stop doing that.
That's the only thing he can do. It's literally the
Hmm.
only thing he can do. He had Harris had 6 catches today for 29 yards, which is insane. Yeah, I mean, and then on the other side, the Packers are good. Like you said, they move the
Hmm.
ball well in this game. Aaron Rodgers kind of did Aaron Rodgers stuff. Randall Cobb had a few big plays, 2 touchdowns. I mean, it was an impressive performance from the Packers, but I just don't feel good about the Steelers team, which is now 2 games behind everybody in the AFC North.
Crazy, yeah. And again, I see maybe they should have drafted a lineman instead of a running back. I don't know if I fully agree. I think that like just Roethlisberger falling off a cliff just like completely screwed this team. Like if your quarterback falls off a cliff, you're screwed.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a halfway decent quarterback, this offense is going to be pretty good. Because I mean, it's just easy to defend Harris right now because no one's scared of this passing game, despite having Johnson, Claypool, Freiermuth even had some moments in throughout this season. Despite having these weapons, no one is scared of this passing game right now.
Yeah, and again, and I also should mention that it's not like the receiving core is playing fantastic either. So that's another aspect in all of this. One thing I've got to talk about is, hey, how about my guy Eric Stokes? This has been a good week for my predictions. Most of what I said has gone right this week. Eric Stokes he had an interception in this game. He's continuously looked like he's been a really good pick at that position.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of went at him in this game too, and I thought he did really well just overall. I mean, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, obviously, if I had to rank Defensive Rookie of the Year guys, like Parsons and JOK are probably in top two,
Hmm.
but I don't think Stokes is far off. I really don't. Like, he's been really impressive. Thrust into a position to be a good cornerback on a good team. I thought he's more than held up his end.
Yeah, Asante Samuel Jr. also comes to mind. Just honestly, a lot of these young corners, from what I understand, Patrick Surtain didn't have the best day today, but he's had good weeks 1 through 3. It was looking like J.C. Horn was doing very well for Carolina through 3 weeks, but then was hurt. So a lot of young corners been a good corner draft so far. Even Greg Newsome for Cleveland, another guy.
Yeah, I mean, all of the guys have. It's impressive, especially when this is usually the long developmental position. All these guys are kind of showing up early. I don't know what really the reasoning is for it, but yeah, all these guys are playing pretty well.
Yeah, so that's fun, and yeah, I thought Rodgers was better than his numbers would suggest as well. So, all right, Kyle, that's all 16 games. We got through it a lot quicker than we have in the past.
Yeah, we also talked for 3.5 hours before this, so
Hmm.
I'm sure we moved a little faster this time around.
Yeah, I think so as well. But it was fun. Uh, so through 4 weeks, I feel like through 4 weeks you kind of know who these teams are, kind of right. Like you act. There's enough of a sample size you can significantly say who these teams are. And now it's kind of more so seeing who what smaller shifts happen. Should be a fun rest of the way here.
Yeah, I do feel like I know who's really good and I know who's really bad.
Hmm.
It's the middle teams that I still have a bunch of question about. Basically, teams I feel like 10 through 22, I still feel like can kind of interchange and change places. And I want to see a little more on that. But I feel like the bottom 5 teams and the top 5 teams, I feel really pretty confident in who they are and what they can do.
Interesting. I kind of feel the opposite. I kind of feel like I'm waiting to see which teams are the favorites in the AFC, which teams are the favorites in the NFC.
Hmm. I don't know. I feel like I understand my NFC favorites for sure. I feel like
Who are
it's
the NFC favorites?
Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles,
Uh,
Tampa, and I guess you probably throw Seattle in there.
Seattle. Okay. Interesting. You've been so low on Seattle all season. I'm surprised to hear you go
I
there.
mean, I still think they're explosive enough to be in that conversation. I think they're outside those top 3, though. I mean, those are or in Green Bay. Sorry, Green Bay's definitely
Mm-hmm.
up there above Seattle. I mean, those top 4, and then Seattle and San Francisco are probably the fringe. But
Uh-huh.
if San Francisco's not going to stay healthy and has bad cornerbacks, then they're probably on the outside.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think you could,
Yeah.
I think they're in the next tier, probably. And then the AFC you'd probably go. But still it's like AFC, it's like I probably go Bills, I probably go Browns, and I go
Raiders,
Chiefs, of
Chargers,
course.
Chiefs. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like you got the Raiders, you got the Chargers, you got the Ravens who have looked really good. You have are you sleeping on the Titans entirely? I know they've looked rough a little bit, but they're still hope. So the AFC is a lot more wide open, I think.
Yeah, I'm really excited for tomorrow night. That's going to be a fun game.
Yeah.
Like I know the Minnesota Cleveland game was a little disappointing offensively. I don't think
Hmm.
there's any reason that these two teams disappoint offensively tomorrow.
Yeah, if I know anything about Raiders games, they never disappoint. It might be a win for the Raiders, might be a loss for the Raiders, but it's going to be interesting. Should be fun. Same thing for the Chargers, really. So yeah, that's our show. Thanks to everyone for watching. Kyle, let them know where they can find us before we log off.
Yeah, make sure to follow us. That's at Jackson Kruger on Twitter. I am at by Kyle Grondin on Twitter. And then make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK on Twitter at On the Sideline JK. Make sure to follow us on all those Twitter accounts. Make sure to subscribe below and make sure to check out the podcast. It's been fun.
Yes, exactly. And everyone, of course, you can listen to the audio only file if you want. That should be anywhere you get your podcast. Kyle, any final thoughts before we head out?
Another week in the books. We'll see what happens Monday night. Like I said, should be a fun game. And then on to week 5. Good stuff.
Yes. Dark Knight Raider. Good shoe. Good shoe. Yes, we appreciate that. Good shoe all around. Again, thanks to everyone for watching. We do appreciate it. Until next time, have a good one.
Peace.